Единственная кофемашина с технологией BeanAdapt. Создана для раскрытия вкуса кофейных зерен. Привнесет совершенство в каждый кофейный напиток. Открой для себя новую Примадонна Soul.
I've been on and off working since the pandemic began.
Work-life balances mean a lot more to me. I value my time spent with my family.
All of these life-changing things totally change the way that I look at work.
These are challenging times, both in private and work life. Working conditions have changed completely. For many, the home has become the office too, with an enormous impact on our work-life balance.
We're not supposed to go to work at all.
Sitting on the dining room table, trying to work.
I'm using my child room actually.
Work have offered me a chair to work from home, like a proper office chair.
Companies are dealing with the well-being of their employees while continuing business as best as they can.
Pierdes muchos matices en las reuniones en Teams.
How can you revise your workplace environment? How to attract different skill sets and engage differently than you did before?
Je ziet wel wat mensen en wel wat minder, maar het is toch anders.
Il faut être vigilant et attentif à ce que l'on fait.
Creo que tengo más habilidades digitales.
Ik ben wel best wel positief eigenlijk over thuiswerken.
Your employer brand is in the spotlight more than ever. The Randstad Employer Brand Research results can help you build an even sharper employer branding strategy. Because each year, we ask more than 185,000 respondents in 34 markets about their key motivators in choosing an employer. What do people expect from them, especially these days?
Comunicación, ser muy visibles.
En dat duidelijke afspraken worden gemaakt.
Misschien meer activiteiten om werk heen.
やっぱりそうですね、人間関係大切かなって思います。
A substantial majority of respondents feel emotionally supported during the pandemic. A large majority feel that they do have the right equipment and technology to adapt to digitalization.
Le fait que mon agence est toujours derrière moi pour nous soutenir.
At the same time, many say they need support to learn the new skills needed in the digital era. People are also worried about their employability, so job security is top of mind. Knowing what your employees want and need.
Lo que yo más valoro de mi empresa son las oportunidades de carrera y el desarrollo y el aprendizaje que me ofrece en cada puesto.
Knowing what new employees seek for in a company, in your company. Knowledge that can make the difference in attracting and retaining your workforce.
Een werkgever is aantrekkelijk voor mij op het moment dat ik weet dat daar kansen in zitten om mezelf te ontwikkelen.
En wat ik echt belangrijk vind is de werkomgeving.
I think it's going to be more about fulfillment, much more about real happiness.
What is more important is to not leave any single man behind.
Learn all about this and more in our newest Randstad Employer Brand Research results.
Добрый день всем, кто присоединился к ANCOR и Randstad.
Welcome everyone joining us here at ANCOR and Randstad. So, my name is Alexey Mironov, Head of Operations at ANCOR, and jointly with my colleague here, Natalia Sherbakova, Head of Sales and Marketing at ANCOR, and we begin at ANCOR Employer Brand Research event. So, this is the second time we're doing this online, and many times before that offline. So, this is what we do by presenting you the best and most credible results with regards to the employee brand research. So we're doing this via Facebook, on our YouTube channel, of course also in Mir, and of course at ANCOR.ru, where you can select between the Russian and the English language. So please enjoy this broadcast. So dear ladies and gentlemen, so I do believe the first ever award ceremony for the best brand employees back where Mr. Kalyagin, etc. I hope you were there, and I was so so excited about it, and not just whether we're going to deliver the value of this project to all the best employers out there, but the outlook and the future of this project. That was 8 years ago. That was a long time ago. Here I am, and I'm looking at the prompter here, and I know that out there are millions and millions of people watching, glued to the screens, that are really dying to know the results. They really want to know what's at stake here, and what do people prioritize when they choose between employers, because they want the best people. We all want the best people. Now with the digitalization and online, now we have a lot more scope, and we can reach out to so many people, not just professionals, not just the ones that are focusing on HR as a profession, but the average people out there. They all want to know where to go, how to build your career, how to make sure that you're safe and you have a career growth. What are the real values in this or that company? So in 2020, after the first online event, we've received so many emails and messages that please double check the ranking of this or that company, because I don't really know where to go now with all this remote thing going on. And yes, people are willing to make a conscious, calculated choice, and I'm sure that we're gonna have the best lineup of speakers today. So over the years, the Randstad employer brand research has become something that is part of my life, and I'm so happy to spend 2.5 hours with you today. So this event is organized with our partners, DeLonghi. Thank you so much for supporting us. DeLonghi is an Italian company worldwide known for its coffee quality, an amazing coffee maker, beautiful design, innovations, and supreme quality. DeLonghi has been there for many, many, many years, offering something special when it comes to the product and the technology and the value. And of course, this broadcast is also supported by a media partner, hr Novosti. Thank you so much, a flagship media group in Russia. Thank you so much, hr Novosti. This is the most quoted mass media in Russia and social networks. This correspondence network covers more than 100 cities all around the world. So this year, which is very special, we decided to do it online. Last year we did another online, but that was different. This was done under pressure. So this time around we decided to do it in a very conscious way. The past 12 months we've seen that the employer branding is becoming more and more popular, regardless. And of course, so the first online event was quite special because we've never done it before like that. And so many companies came to us. The media coverage was incredible. And as Natalia said, just the people, the participants of the market said, wow, now finally there's the credible source of data that can help us make the educated choice. And that's why we're here online once again. This is not just about delivering the results of this research, but to also internalize it. And that's why we're going to have a very good lineup of speakers from the HR side and from the business side, so that we can give you a diversity of opinion, so they can give you a 360 view on just how important it is to stand out on the labor market. And this conference is called The Employer Brand in the New Reality. And the world is changing. Just look at the speed, look at how, the vaccines, the digitalization, the remote work, and there's no longer work-life balance. And the blurred boundary between work and personal life, a lot is becoming more transparent, or certain values get toppled down and the new values arrive. So we're going to give you a new way to look and perceive the employer brand. But certain things are universal. Certain things never go away. The Randstad employer brand research is an international research, as credible as it has always been. And this is an independent one done by Kantar Group. So this project has been going for 21 years, and ANCOR, as a strategic partner of Randstad, has launched it in Russia 8 years ago, and then in Ukraine and also in Kazakhstan. So all in all, 34 countries participating, which is 80% of the global economy. And in each country, we have a representative selection of companies that reflect active population from 18 to 64 years of age. So, and people go for the questionnaire responding to how often they change job, how do they seek job, what resources they use, why do they build their preference regarding this or that brand. And during this research, we look at real companies, some of the best and some of the most well-known brands out there. And the result of that built the ranking, the official ranking of brand employee attractiveness. So this is what we're going to do today. We get a list of the best and the most attractive employee brands. And then, of course, it goes down offline. Then we meet with each and every participant, and then we go into networking and lots of other things. But without further ado, I would like you to welcome our guests here. And it is my pleasure to offer the floor Head of Global Randstad Business, Mikhail Pakrowski, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Henderson, and I am the CEO of Randstad's Global Businesses and Executive Board Member. And I'm proud to tell you a little bit about our Randstad Employer Brand Research. We've been conducting this research for 21 years in 34 markets worldwide, with almost 200,000 respondents participating annually and over 6,000 companies surveyed. The Russia report is a reflection of the employer attractiveness for the market's largest employers, known by at least 10% of the working population, and provides valuable insights to help employers shape their brand. In an unprecedented year in which the COVID crisis dominated the headlines, as well as our personal and professional lives, it has become apparent that companies with the strongest focus on their team members and employer brand will likely rebound to this next normal most quickly. And that focus on talent will pay large dividends as we move through and beyond this crisis. For companies in Russia, this research is truly unique and tangible opportunity to display your strong brand in the marketplace. You should be exceptionally proud to be noted among the elite companies in the Russia research. I'd like to now introduce my colleagues from Randstad, Hari Batka, Managing Director of Strategic Operations, and Jan Dens, Director of External Communications and Public Affairs, as your noted speakers. Special congratulations to the winners of the Randstad Employer Brand Research in Russia. Enjoy today's event.
Thank you, Rebecca, so much, and our guests will join us later. And without further ado, I would like to also give you some of the founders of ANCOR in former Soviet Union, because we do it in Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan. So joining us, Sergei Salikov, the CEO of ANCOR. Please, sir, you have the floor. Absolutely, welcome. And so this year we're doing this another event dedicated to the best employer brand, headed by Randstad. So my name is Salikov Sergei. I'm the CEO of ANCOR group of companies, and today I'm here to talk about maybe not necessarily the most conventional viewpoint on what has been happening over the past 12 months. And I'm sure that we'll be talking about trends, assessments, the medians, the ratios, and the technical details, etc. So other people know this much more than I do. I don't want to eat their bread, but let me share my unique perspective. Well, as a major employer here in Russia and beyond, because we work with all the best companies out there in Russia and the former Soviet Union, and therefore the people that come to us for employment, it's the elite of the Russian market. And 2020 turned out to be very, very special. And it's the year that indeed has affected tremendously the way we do business, the way the government does its business, the way corporates do business, blue chip, small, medium size. No one's unscathed, but it's all about people. Regardless of the format and the shape and the size, it's all about people. So let me just say it again, that the 2020 years is a revolution. It's a milestone, and it'll go down in history as one of those years. The line in the sand, I'm sure that we haven't yet fully realized the impact of 2020, and I'm sure that this year has given us a gem, a brand new level of freedom, unseen before, And this is absolutely incredible. I mean, the fact that somebody, they sit at home and they can't even navigate, and the fact that you can't fly, the fact that you are stuck at home, but it is what it is, simply because there's a lot of old paradigm. We see freedom from a viewpoint of an old paradigm, and the old paradigm is now being replaced with the new paradigm. Let me just give you a couple of these areas and levels of freedom, such as the freedom to learn, the freedom to choose, the freedom to get information. Just a while ago, visiting museums, visiting libraries has been exotics, but now, regardless of where you are, regardless of whether it's open or closed, you can go to the Louvre, you can go to Metropolitan Museum, you can go to Hermitage, etc. Now it is all open to you, virtually, of course. And in the past, people were stuck. If you were born in Russia, then you spend time in Russia, right? You're employed in Russia. People were sort of glued to their community, so to say, less free. Now, with the 2020 look, there are no more boundaries. So you can go anywhere if you are scalable, and if your physical presence is not required, you can be anywhere, regardless of where you are, regardless of where on the planet Earth you are. You can do business with anybody, anywhere. That is absolutely incredible. You can sit in Kiev, Kazan, St. Petersburg, Moscow, or anywhere else, and get a job anywhere else, as long as you know what you do and you're a great professional. So, and look at education now. You can go to Stanford now, or Harvard, or any Ivy League, or how about Russian High School of Economics? You don't need to travel there. You don't need to sit in the room with other students. No, I mean, all you need to do is open your Zoom, and voila, we have all these incredible digital tools available to you. So there are lots and lots of these things, and we haven't yet fully grasped the importance of it. So if you look at this life as a train, just imagine you are on a train, and the train has multiple stops. So 2020 is yet another stop, and the stop is called "It Just Happened." What happened happened. It's a new time now. And it's a new time now, and it's the next station is the awareness station, right? Once we pass the awareness station, then we'll get to the next station called freedom, right? Or acceptance. We need to realize that the freedom is there, then we need to accept it, and then altogether we need to the next station, which is called using these freedoms. Right now you have a freedom, internalize it, and then you apply it. Again, this is a brand new world, and this world will be conquering us as well as we are, step by step. That is beautiful, because that's civilization, that's evolution, and we've just entered yet another stage in terms of economy, society, I mean, just the way the world works. So I'm sure that we'll be looking back at 2020, but never forget that 2020 has given us incredible gifts of the brand new world, a brand new, incredible, amazing, free future that we haven't yet grasped with. So thank you, and enjoy this conference.
Спасибо, Сергей. Алексей, прежде чем мы перейдем к первой сессии, посвященной восприятию работы в новом мире, я бы хотела попросить тебя рассказать.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But before we move on, just say a couple of words about the way we've gathered and analyzed data, because I'm sure there's been certain very important changes to the way the research is done this time around. It's true. I mean, of course, we had to be new. So the Randstad employer brand research, as it says, looking through the best employers, and it was done by Kantar, January 2021. A total of 13,832 people have participated by age, gender, education, region, and employment. Here are the numbers. As far as the key questions, they are the same, but we have changed the approach. And on the one hand, of course, a certain change have been brewing, but at the same time, 2020 is a very one-off, very special. So it's not necessarily apple-to-apple comparison. So this year, the respondents could have chosen any criteria, whatever the criteria that you deem as important, not only 5 as it used to be. So, and therefore, it's a different, more holistic approach on the one hand, but at the same time, I would say it's a more truthful picture of where the employee is. What in terms of changing your jobs? We talk to the respondents, say, tell us about your intention for the second half of 2021. Because, well, the first half of 2021 is not necessarily the best, the most representative. There's also generational gap, and we looked at the blue collars versus the green collar, because, as you know, employers definitely fine-tune their value proposition regarding whether it's a blue collar or a white collar person. And of course, a lot in this research has been dedicated to the assessment of the COVID impact. Thank you, Alexei. Thank you for this input. And without further ado, why don't we jump into the first part of the conference, which is dedicated to employment in the brand new world. Well, because of the vaccine. Oh, by the way, I have a vaccine shot. By the way, I'm a happy owner and carrier of antibodies. Yes, Russia is open. You can travel. You can go to the cinema. You can go to your coffee shop. And it seems like people are coming back to their offices. But the world has still changed and is not the same anymore. So I'm always online 24/7, regardless of whether maybe I'm spending time in the office or maybe I'm somewhere on the beach collecting lint on my belly button. But still, work is a work, right? And certain people are dependent on location, but it's up to you to decide how much to work, where to work, and how long to work. But of course, I mean, because of the value proposition, the work-life balance is changing. And let me share some of the details of this, but please do not connect it directly to the change in life, because we're talking to people. One thing is to notice a change, and a totally different approach is to internalize it and then change your behavior. People need time. We're slow-moving creatures, and I believe that in maybe a year or two, you will see a totally different attitude to what has happened. So far, don't be too critical and don't judge it too much. But hey, let's have a look at the criteria. Let's see what's important for the people when they select the best dream job. So these are the key criteria, and you can see it on the screen. So, and there's been some change. You probably notice it. So now, from number 3 to number 5, you have job must be interesting, 57%. But number 1 is, of course, the money. Hey, but that's only 5. But let's look at the whole list. So not just the top 5, but the whole list, 18. Well, and again, it's not apples to apples this year versus the previous year. But that said, still, some things are very important. Yes, a lot of things are important. Not 3, not 5, but actually many, many, many more. But if you look at the bottom part, I mean, you see a lot more tail there. Career growth, challenge, and traveling distance are becoming much more important for the white collars. The fact that we're no longer limiting the choice to the respondents means that actually selecting a job has so many factors, and anyone, including myself, I mean, takes into account a holistic approach. And this year's study actually tells us specifically, should you compete on the top 3 value propositions or actually more? No, absolutely no. If you want to be the best employee brand, you need to have a holistic end-to-end value creator, taking into account all of the factors, not just the top 3 or the top 5. And that will definitely put you on the pedestal and above everybody else. And thank you, Alexei. Thank you again. Well, let's take it from the horse's mouth. I guess we have experts. Let's talk to them. We have representatives of some of the best brands in Russia, because the numbers are numbers. But what about career growth? What does it mean, career growth? Is it a new grade? Is it a bonus? Is it a salary raise? What does it actually mean for those who want to grow, who are ambitious? And so joining us today is Pyotr Alof, a Vice President on HR and Organizational Development, as well as Strategic Initiative of Mars, Russia. Piotr, very, very good day to you, and thank you for joining us at this amazing conference. So people want to grow. They want to have a career path. They want some challenge in their life, right? And do you provide enough career growth? What about your employees? What about their attitude to the way you've structured your approach to people? Thank you, Alexei. Thank you, Natalia. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate your invitation, of course. It is a privilege and an honor, of course, to be the first one in the line of incredible speakers. So let me just say that, yes, absolutely sure that the employees of Mars have tremendous opportunities for growth and career improvement. But let me explain why. And let me give you some numbers and some case studies, because one of the things that we use is actually working with data, big data, using data in decision making. So as you know, that Mars came to Russia more than 30 years ago. Yes, we're a global company, but we're proud to say that we're also a Russian company because we have such an incredible heritage. We have 10 factories. We have our research center for pet food, and we have branches all the way from St. Petersburg to Vladivostok, east to west. And we have thousands of people employed, and more than 2/3, and that's 4,000 people, have been employed for more than 5 years. Let me just say one thing. It's a hypothesis. It's an assumption. But I believe that people stay here simply because they love the company and they see some real value. And of course, career growth. And a global study shows us that Russian employees are one of the most driven, one of the most engaged globally. And we're always in the 90th percentile across Mars' global presence. So, and I'm sorry for being so scientific about the percentiles and whatnot, but it's true. And you know that, as a matter of fact, a high percentage of vacancies are actually filled in internally. So we're not just taking from the market, but especially on the junior level, actually growing our employees from within. What's even more important is that 80% of our executive positions are occupied by people who've actually grown into that executive level. So they started as junior and then step by step elevated themselves all the way to the top. And that's beautiful. That's incredible. I think that's a role model to follow. So every year, we hire more than 200 new professionals, and many of them continue their career path here at Mars. So because we have apprenticeship, we have career growth, we have incredible training, we have mentorship and support, and many, many more. But I'm also happy for those people who actually leave us for something else, because I believe that apprenticeship is a social responsibility, because you never know. People are free. So give or take, stay or go, but they have to be given an opportunity to try themselves and find their Eulerian destiny and find what they're best at. And of course, we help them the way we can, but what's particularly important that is driven by the employee. They come here, they seek value, and they want to change the world. And as you know, that the world you want to see tomorrow is the way you do things, the way you act, the way you live your life as an employee. So, and of course, Mars is one of the best recommended brands. So we have a very good word of mouth. And people wouldn't come here if they didn't trust their friends. So yes, let me just reiterate that, yes, our employees have tremendous growth opportunities and job opportunities here. Okay, thank you very much. So tell me, so what are you going to do to further enhance your employee brand? What has changed in terms of your strategy and your tactics, based on the COVID situation and the 2020 experience? Well, it's a very complicated question to answer. Let me start by saying what has not changed. The stability and the confidence is what we provide to all employees. Good salary, good pay, and social benefits. Incredible career opportunities, and a chance to make this world a better place through volunteer programs. And of course, we'll become more flexible. It's actually, we're getting more flexible. Flexibility towards your work from home, remotely, or from the office. We've always been a very inclusive company, also developing digital culture that makes us even more innovative, and that actually allows us to run experiments and to enhance our approach to people. But let me say that every year is special, and the year like 2020 is a test to your values. I remember 1998, remember 2008, and the 2020 is no exception. It's a test. in the most fundamental way, and I'm so happy that Mars is still here, and is still committed to the Russian market, to the Russian people, and it's so great to see that Mars didn't stop, didn't fire, but as a matter of fact continued to expand, build new production facilities, launch new brands, create new jobs, and really outperform in the market. And that's what we've been doing year on year. We have a new production line in Rostov, expanded our production facility in Ulyanovsk. We have a new facility in Ulyanovsk. We have new brands on the market, and we've created multiple jobs, new jobs in Russia despite the pandemic. And that's what makes me proud for the job that we do, for the work that we do, for the employees, for my associates, for their families, and for the company. It's a very special feeling. I mean, it's the best advocate. It speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. This is our cornerstone. This is our foundation. I mean, we are proud of our employees, and employees are proud of the company that employs them. Oh, that was amazing. Piotr, thank you so much. So inspiring. And I would like to give the floor to Victoria Sidyakina, head of HR Nestle Eurasia. Victoria, welcome. Welcome. Thank you, Alexei. It's good to see you, and thank you for being with us today. So Nestle has won so many awards in the Randstad Employer Brand Research. I mean, several times in the past. So what has changed in your employer value proposition this time around? Well, let me start from a different angle. Let me just say that I would say Nestle, Russia, and Eurasia has always been incessantly working on its HR strategy. I mean, our employee brand is absolutely a priority, and we're so happy for this research, the Randstad and ANCOR. So thank you so much for doing this. And this is a very high quality research, and we also do, of course, a lot of internal studies such as engagement, as we call it. We call it Nestle and Me. But I truly believe that apart from being an employee brand in terms of being competitive on the market, growing our employees, paying good salary, providing career opportunities, making sure that we always bring our A game in terms of what we do for the people, being financially stable, sustainable, developing internal culture and whatnot, and upholding our values and whatnot. So I believe that now 2020 have brought in a lot of new elements, new variables to the notion of employee brand. And on the one hand, I have to say that we have certain projects here at Nestle that it's almost like circumambulation that we've tried multiple times, like inclusivity, diversity, sustainable development, but it was almost like you were orbiting a planet. So closer, or then you distance away, and then you get closer again. But finally, 2020 has catalyzed people into jumping into these projects. We've got tremendous response. For example, just recently, I learned that, as a matter of fact, 100 people in our company decided to actually become ambassadors in sustainable development. And we didn't ask them. It was their choice. It's absolutely incredible. And speaking of inclusivity and diversity, for example, on the 8th of March, just recently, we had an incredible female leadership here in Nestle. And of course, we also invited men. It wasn't just women, of course, but it was dominated by women, of course, but we're still getting thanks and gratitude letters from our employees. And there's actually more. Let me just say that in 2020, we also had to focus on a lot of other topics. So not just, supporting people, paying the good salary, not firing anybody, but we also thought about the health and safety of our people, about their psychology, about their emotional health. And we've launched several projects to that end. And, thank God we have all the necessary tools. Of course, we have an internal IT platform, psychologists, also specific trainings to help people to get that resilience. So looking back at 2020, if you believe that your employer has not only kept your job and paid a good salary, took care of your health, took care about you as a person and your emotional state, and at the same time launched multiple innovative projects, provided financial stability, did all of that, make sure you are employed by an incredible company. That's a given. Well, considering just how widespread your company is, let me ask you not just about your people, but Nestle. So what about the perception of Nestle as an employer brand in the first place, among multiple attributes? Well, thank you so much for this interesting question. So, I mean, the way I see the market here in Russia and Eurasia, because I'm responsible for Russia and Eurasia, as a matter of fact, there's no such thing as Eurasia, but we all understand that when we talk about Eurasia, it's ultimately former Soviet Union and Russia. So it's not just former Soviet Union or Asia, it's also the Caucasus, of course, it's Mongolia, and other adjacent countries. It's a very, very big geography. And Russia and former Soviet Union, of course, is something that is close to my heart because we all have, historical connections. And just the other day, we had a big internal conference here at Nestle on talent management and development and on talent acquisition. So to answer your question, I would say that about 3% of our employees are people that are actually migrants. They came from a different location originally, and which is great. We absolutely welcome these immigrants because they bring in incredible fresh perspective. So it's never happened before. But just to answer your question directly, the way people see us as an employer brand, I would say that our latest study and our latest engagement report, which was done in 2020, actually speaks for itself. The results are incredible. We were really surprised by just how positive the brand is perceived. And I would say the overall majority of employees have more than 90% affinity to employer brand. So over 90% of employees, as a matter of fact, gave us the highest possible mark. So that means that we're not only getting better as a version of ourselves in Russia versus other markets, but if you look at the actual benchmark, us versus other brands in Russia, we've actually exceeded our own benchmark pretty much across the board. With the exception of one category, I think we have outperformed. We're all in the green on that chart. And there was only one category, which is inclusivity and diversity. This is where we need to do more, of course. And we do everything it takes. And we have a little bit of a red color in there when it comes to inclusivity and diversity. But we're working on this. So I'm so grateful to the employees of the company for this very high esteem. Thank you so much. Thank you, Victoria. Really inspiring. And without further ado, I would like to give floor to yet another conference participant, Eratos Magov, the head of HR at Alpha Bank. Marat, thank you for joining us. I hope you're there. Marat, yes, hello. Yeah, we see you. I see you. And I have to ask you, because you're very special. I'm talking about Morgenstern, a celebrity, music celebrity that you've hired recently as head of children work. So tell me about your approach to HR and who's your competition necessarily. And of course, tell me about Morgenstern. Well, let me talk about Morgenstern as well. So we're a big company. It's a universal commercial bank, one of the best and biggest in Russia. It is a privately owned bank, and as you know, we cover multiple products and services, right? We have retail, we have SMEs, we have corporate, we have IB, etc. And it's a very diverse culture of people. We have great salesmen, we have great entrepreneurial culture. So speaking of Moscow, speaking of the head office, and speaking of, and it's not something new. Of course, we want the best people. Of course, we want digitally savvy people. We don't just want a developer. We don't just want a tester. We don't just want a professional, but we want someone who knows how to work with Scrum, Agile, UX, UI professionals, artificial intelligence, big data, advanced analytics, data scientists. We need lots and lots of these guys. And by and large, we're looking for people with the so-called high digital IQ. There's this thing called digital IQ. So just to be a great manager, that's fine, but it's not enough. You can be a great professional. Nobody cares if you don't have a high digital IQ. You need to at least be fluent with the digital setup of our bank. Otherwise, you have no place among us. So, and that's why we're looking for people with high digital IQ. So, our direct competition would be not so much the banks. Of course, I mean, there's some banks out there, but we're not really competing with banks. We're competing predominantly with IT companies, digital companies. We'll look, of course, at IT companies directly. We look at what they do. We borrow certain things from them. We come up with certain things of our own. So just like everybody else, I guess, right? There are certain hot talents that everybody's fighting for. Yes, thanks, Marat. And let me ask you a question. So, speaking of employees, what about employees? I mean, how's it been for your employees this 2020? So, what has changed about their perception? What do they appreciate about Alfa Bank as an employer now that we've lived through the pandemic? Well, let me just say that I honestly believe that we represent a bank for smart, free, and bold and courageous people. So that's our people. And I think that our people have gotten even smarter, even bolder, even more free, and even more courageous. Let me give you two cases. For example, remember when everybody started to go remotely? And of course, it was a challenge, right? And it turns out that IT developers love to work for the night. Yeah, they sleep during the day and they work for the night. Fine, great. As long as you produce the quality, I don't really care what your circadian rhythm is, so to say. So we're absolutely fine. I mean, we give total freedom to our IT developers as long as they produce the result. They can work, I mean, completely flexible hours. And we don't even control any of that. So people work the way they want to work as long as they bring the A game. So, and that is important. Of course, it has to be high performance. And of course, we make sure that they always deliver their excellent the A game. So, for example, prior to the pandemic last year, we actually started to open several fitness clubs across Russia. And one of the fitness clubs was opened in Moscow. And it was summer, of course, when the pandemic started. So, and it's like, we would train early in the morning, and then at 9 a.m. we'd go back to the office, and then at 6 p.m. we'll go back to the gym, which is pretty incredible. Yes, that, and then a year later, and of course I'm passing the gym here at Technopark, and I see people actually training not only in the morning, but as a matter of fact, all through the day and late night. I mean, people train when they want to train. They're okay, they have flexible hours. I say, hey, hi, hello, I'm head of HR, and they say, hello, we see you, and I see you as well. So the fact that people are working remotely, it actually changed the values and have given new perspective on freedom, and we're happy about it as long as people are doing performance. Of course, I mean, of course, we were a bank. Numbers are important, but as long as freedom produces more performance, sure, absolutely, I'm all in favor of it. Well, thank you, Marat. Thank you. And you know what? Why don't we actually take a view from Zoom? Yes, Linia Lutnikova, head of HR of Zoom, one of the best supermarkets in Europe. So tell me about your approach. Yes, hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you. And you know, retail is one of the fastest growing industries, and so many opportunities for career growth. And in terms of projects, in terms of state-of-the-art approach, and in terms of best employment opportunities, which is the fastest and the easiest way to become a true professional and to build your career growth. So anyone who's been in retail will then find no problem getting employment anywhere else. So retail is a really a test ground. So, and that's why, of course, because we are a retailer, we are a premium retailer, so no wonder, of course, we focus our activity on sales performance. And that's why this year we launched an incredible project. It's a competition, and if you win the competition, you can actually have a free apprenticeship, and it's a paid apprenticeship for 3 months. So if, of course, you would like to, dedicate yourself to a beauty retailer. So, and of course, we have some of the best coaches that are training our people. It's just a very deep dive into the sales techniques and the best practice out there, client service and the CRM, understanding luxury that we represent. And the best of the best, of course, will be given a permanent job opportunity here at Zoom in Moscow. And apprenticeship and mentorship is becoming so important offline and online. And we've adjusted it and made it fit the current reality. You need to be very quick. You need to pivot on a dime. And you need you need that experience from other people. So our job is to identify people that have the talent, find them the right mentor, and take them to the top as quickly as possible, and share the best practice so that we have the best pool. And we truly believe that the best training possible should be always part of your everyday life. So it's a lifelong learning, and it's not just with regards to a particular course or particular job instruction. And I believe that project-based learning is the best out there. So we'll do everything possible to make sure that our people can participate in incredible cross-functional projects and learn and grow. You know, in the future, it's not about your skill set, but it's about your performance. So, and this kind of approach, project-based approach, combines theory and practice, and actually helps you produce your worth and show what you're capable of. Okay, Lilia, thank you. What about your employer value proposition from the viewpoint of your employees? Well, it's a tough market, yes, and there's a growing, exponentially growing competition for the talent. And you can no longer be old school and traditional, like, oh, we have a coffee machine, oh, we have cookies, we have fruits. Nobody cares about that. You know, now that people work remotely, it's even more complex. Now the HR professionals need to come up with certain unique so that people actually, to retain this incredible talents. And companies that take true care of their employees really become, the best. We're taking good care. I mean, stability, yes. Predictability, yes. Good salary, absolutely. But it's true care. Show that you truly care about your employees. That is the most important attribute for an employer to really retain the best talents and attract the best talents. Oh, for example, I need to be always able to provide instant feedback. Go to the person I need to go to, talk to the person I need to talk to for whatever reason inside the company. I need to feel empowered so that I'm not helpless, so that I can grow and actually produce my talent. And of course, you need to also celebrate. We have, for example, also psychological help. We have telemedicine. We have health-related lectures, and lots of online and offline events. We have a dedicated online library for our employees. We have virtual tours, master classes, etc. So we're doing a lot of cross-pollination inside the company, also for their children. Yes, and especially, digital vacations and whatnot. So, I truly believe that companies need to change the way they think and ask questions, and they need to focus on real results. For example, can you offer more flexibility with regards to work hours? How important it is to look at the CV for you. What if there's a brand new employee, doesn't have much in terms of the CV, but is really passionate, there's a fire in his belly? Are you prepared to really take them and convert them into tremendous professionals? Do you see it as an opportunity or as a threat? Do you teach your people to be confident no matter what, to go forward no matter what? So how open you are with your people about it, because any change brings out the dialogue. So the more answers you actually give and the more tools you offer, then the higher the chance that you are a truly flexible and preferred brand that people will choose above everybody else. I mean, it's not just the talking the talk, but walking the walk. And how good are you at recognizing the best people and providing them real challenge so they can grow and appreciate it? So, and again, it's about commitment, right? And it's about seeing your personal impact on the change that you are producing as an individual. So if you can do that as a brand, then you'll definitely have the best people out there. Thank you, Lily, so much. And we're back to the actual research, the Randstad research, and let's have a look at the gap. Very important element. So the respondents are not only pointing out what's important, but also looking at companies and identify criteria that are present in the current employers offering as well as the potential employers offering. So this year we have, of course, a traditional gap on money. Of course, there's no such thing as enough money. Everybody wants more money, but at top 3 is also a career guarantee. Well, that's maybe not that enough, but the financial stability and reputation is very important. So let's talk about that. Okay, so, and without further ado, I would like to offer the floor to one of our speakers so they actually see that the employer brand from the pinnacle. We have Dr. Alexander Liberov, president of Siemens in Russia and Central Asia. Alexander, welcome. Welcome, welcome. And let me ask you a question. So for you personally, why are you with Siemens? What's so special about Siemens that you are with this company? Well, thank you. And it's an interesting question. I'm joining you from St. Petersburg. And our headquarters is actually in Moscow, but I'm on a business trip to St. Petersburg, and that's the place where I actually started 25 years ago at Siemens. Yeah, a quarter of a century I'm with Siemens, and it would be, I would say, 25 years, really? 25 years ago I started. Time flies, time really flies. And what can I say? Well, I believe that I'm one of those guys that really love diversity. So you might ask, you want diversity, but at the same time you spend quarter of a century with the same brand. So how come haven't you thought about other brands? Why Siemens? So I guess it's about the breadth of opportunities that Siemens provides. It's an incredible company, and it's a whole universe here. So it has everything I need. And it matches all my ambitions. Yeah, so, and for 25 years, I'm actually spent a lot of time abroad. I've worked across 4 different continents. In product business, for example, in the United States, for Siemens, I was responsible for one of the business units on healthcare. So, and that was an incredible time. Then I moved to Singapore, where I was responsible for the railway business, which is a totally different area. And all these big, ambitious projects that are so different. So there's no reason to go anywhere else. And also worked with creating joint venture with other companies, which is a completely different approach in culture. I also been part of the corporate functions in Germany, for example. More of a strategic, less business, but more of a back office type work in Germany. And for the past 6 years, I spent in Russia as the CFO, now as the CEO. And with that, what's important for me, really, and the previous speakers mentioned the career growth, right? And of course, career growth is very important. Of course, it's very important for me because I'm a very ambitious person. And of course, I want to grow. And I want an international audience around me. I want the company to be global because, as you know, Siemens is present in 190 countries all around the world. So, I mean, basically, you're absolutely free. The world is your place, essentially. Siemens is so big, so many different people, so many different cultures. So there's really no reason to go anywhere else. And Siemens has incredible tradition. So it's tradition and change at the same time. And the Siemens wouldn't be Siemens if it wasn't for being sustainable, being rooted in timeless values, but at the same time really following all the latest trends, such as, the Internet of Things, for example, transportation, healthcare, big data, artificial intelligence, something that people want. And Siemens is on top of this game, artificial intelligence, etc. So, and the mission of the company here, this company has a tremendous impact on the world. It makes this world a better place for sure. So, and one more thing is the brand, the power of the brand. Siemens has an incredibly powerful brand. It's basically, this is your bedrock, essentially. It's an incredibly stable company. You feel safe. You feel that the future is predictable for you. And Siemens has an incredibly powerful brand here. And Siemens is known not only as the producer of washing machines and microwaves that we no longer produce, but it just goes to show that people still use our products and still appreciate it, despite the fact that Siemens left, white goods business. But Siemens has still a lot of licenses, and it's a very powerful brand. People still remember the presence of this brand in even those areas that are already not what we do. So it's a very powerful criteria. People love this brand here, and we are known as one of the market leaders. So Sapsan, this famous speed train in Russia, goes from Moscow to St. Petersburg. Yeah, we made it. Yeah, that's our brand. So, I mean, what can I say? I mean, we brought real value to Russia. We've made Russia a better place. So that's an important element when you choose your employer. Wow, incredible. I'm very happy for your career. You really had an incredible career. So as president of a major company with a powerful employer brand, so multiple times you've received an award from Randstad so many times. So my question to you, do you see a connection between a powerful employer brand and your business targets? Well, of course, there is a direct correlation, because what is brand and what is the brand power? Of course, I mean, it's about people, and that's why we have such a market cap. So, and we know that sometimes the value of the brand is actually more higher than all of physical assets like Coca-Cola, for example, etc. So our brand is incredibly valuable, and we produce and sell innovations. Our core asset is people, of course, because people produce innovations that will then push into the market. We don't do oil, we don't do gas, so we basically have brains, right? And this is what we convert. We take brain power of our people and then convert it into products and services. So we are known around the world as one of the most innovative companies out there. Healthcare, energy, transportation, railway, and whatnot. I mean, this is our strength, IQ, and power of intellect. So in this regard, sure, brand power gives you financial stability, and many of our projects, let's just give an example, sometimes are 20, 30, 40 year long. These are incredibly long-term, like Tiksapsan, for example, that everybody enjoys, speed train in Moscow. So that you know that we have a long-term service contract with Russian railways, and it's a multi-year contract. It's a 40-year contract. Think about it, and that just goes to show that we're here for good. We're here for the long run. And when you sign this kind of multi-billion-dollar, sometimes multi-million, multi-billion-dollar contract, it just gives you an idea of just how much trust there has to be towards the brand of Siemens. Otherwise, you would never commit yourself for so many years. And besides that, the brand is also very, very important when it comes to attracting the best people, because we want to be on top when it comes to innovation. And despite the fact that we're a big incumbent company, we try to be very nimble, and we try to embed all the best practices, all the latest and greatest techniques and technologies. And of course, I mean, and during the pandemic, of course, we pivoted a lot. We started to give more freedom to our people. And the previous speaker, by the way, from Alpha Bank actually said that during the pandemic, it was so important to actually focus on results and give people whatever freedom they want and as much freedom as they can take, so that they can actually do what they are best at. And I'm sure that even after the pandemic, people could actually spend maybe 2-3 days at home. So they don't have to go to office, you know, we don't care really. So when they come, when they leave, we don't really care. For me, as the CEO, that's not important. What's important for me, I mean, what is your output? What is your performance, right? That's what I want to see. Whether you spend 1 day per week, 3 days, whatever, I don't really care. So I give people a lot of freedom and a lot of trust. I empower people, and freedom, responsibility, entrepreneurial mindset, and that what creates the demand, because people are performance driven, of course. That's what we demand from our people, but that's what they give us. And so, yeah, absolutely, of course, every ambitious and truly talented person would seek this kind of brand power, and this is what we provide, and that's why we've been this magnet. We're working with universities, working with students in terms of apprenticeships, because this is where the next generation is going to come from. This incredible generation of super talented Russian professionals. They're going to come from these universities, and we're friends with so many great universities in Russia. Thank you, Alexander, so much. And regards to St. Petersburg, Alexander Liberov, CEO of Siemens Russia and Central Asia. And now, without further ado, joining us now is Patrick Anthony, Chairman of the Board and the CEO of ANCOR in Russia. And just to explain, so that you know, this IKEA and Mega. So Patrick, hello, and so good to see you. And thank you for joining us at Randstad Employer Brand Research event. So what's employer brand for you as IKEA, and how does it help you to manage your business? Well, thank you for the question. And for me, it's about trust, unity, and the ability to delegate responsibility. So you know that IKEA is based on family values. It's a family-based company. So, and we change people's lives for the better. And it is something that we push out into the world with regards to the millions of customers and the thousands of employees. We have 13.5 thousand employees in Russia alone. So, and of course, we hire people by their attitude in the first place. You gotta have the right values that match IKEA values to work at IKEA. And whatever the decision, we always rooted in our culture and a mission and a vision and our values. So this kind of value-driven approach, and really, we're absolutely honest here, and that's why IKEA is so special and so successful with this unique organization. So, and each of us understands where we are, where we're going, and why we're doing what we're doing. So there are so many companies out there on the Russian market, in global market, that are chasing technologies or financial metrics. But that's not what's important for IKEA. It's about the human being. That's what's the most important for us. It's about equality. It is about diversity. So we've always been stuck to our roots, and we're absolutely happy and welcome and celebrate diversity. So we have incredible people, all sorts of people, men and women, different colors. And for example, we all eat in the same canteen, for example, ranks aside. We all wear the same uniform, by the way, uniform. When we talk to our customers, me as the top manager, as the CEO, I don't have a special room. I sit next to my regular employees. So we truly, rooting for equality. And regardless of what you do at IKEA, you always have an opportunity to come to me and talk to me. So any employee can come to me, and you can always try yourself and find what you're strong with. So you can have so many horizontal opportunities and rotation within the company. And of course, you can grow vertically and you can grow horizontally. You can grow as an individual, as a professional, and keep learning something new. And it's part of the daily routine at IKEA. We've always been that way with regards to our people. And that's why we attract incredible talents from all over the world and all over Russia. And starting from this year, by the way, we're going to pay particular attention to promoting, qualifying and requalifying people, training and retraining, because retail trade, as you know, is evolving. And a lot of these changes are very disruptive. But if you look at our engagement index, employee engagement index, it is actually outperforming the rest of the market. It's over 87%, and over 90% of employees believe that IKEA is the best possible place to work. So very, very happy about this level of support and this level of appreciation from our employees. So, speaking of the future, let me just say that, of course, I would like to further reinforce the IKEA as an ecosystem for our people, because that is the foundation of our business, and that is the key to our success. So maybe it's a long-winded answer to your question, but that's how we are with regards to people. Well, thank you, Patrick, so much, and thank you for doing this in Russian. It's incredible. So as a foreigner, you speak Russian, which is incredible. You have very good Russian. And IKEA is definitely one of the premium employers. So what's your personal input into creating this kind of brand? Well, I'm very, very proud. I'm very proud to be part of IKEA, for sure. And I fully share company vision and our initiatives when it comes to sustainable development. And to become a favorite brand and a preferred brand for thousands of employees means a lot. It means that every single day I can meet incredible, talented people that love what they do and do what they love. And they love the company that employs them. And they're so committed, and they're committed to outperforming because they truly believe that what they do is right. And they understand the values and the mission of the company. And besides that, the fact that we can attract all the best employees, that of course reduces the costs, and it helps us to really outperform in financial terms. So great people equals great business in a nutshell. Thank you, Patrick Anthony, CEO and Chairman of the Board of ANCOR in Russia. So, and speaking of our research, of course, all the results you will be seeing momentarily. And now that everybody competes with everybody, now let's have a look at this matrix and see where you are. Where is your industry and how attractive you are relative to other industries, so that you give an understanding of where people actually go. This is the industry attractiveness, from transportation to oil and gas. So this matrix gives an idea of where to target. So the vertical one is attractiveness. The horizontal one is knowledge and awareness. And of course, you want to be as attractive as possible and as recognized as possible. So, and depending on where you are, you can be very knowledgeable but less attractive, or highly attractive but less knowledgeable. And of course, you want to be in the sweet spot, which is the top right angle. And speaking of that, can we give a list of names of the best and most attractive employers? So let's start with the most important awards.
Настало время узнать имена самых привлекательных работодателей России. Напомним, первые строчки рейтинга занимают те из крупнейших компаний работодателей страны, которых знает достаточное количество респондентов.
More than 10% of respondents, and these companies attract the most people. And the answer is always yes, I want to work for such companies. There are two nominations: the most attractive employer of a national or an international company. So, Randstad Employer Brand Research. Who of the companies participated won the gold? Who gets the Marcel Vanders? Because your brand is the magnet and attracts the best employees. Who will get the award this time? Let's have a look. The most attractive employer brand in the national nomination goes to Gazprom. The most attractive employer brand in the international company goes to Mercedes-Benz. 340 companies took participation in the company in this research. Congratulations. These are the most sought after brands: Gazprom and Mercedes-Benz. And of course, these awards, of course, will find their winners. Of course, as you see, it's a true magnet, attracts people, and that's what a strong, powerful brand should be, attracting all the best brands. And I'd like to round it up with a representative on Randstad. So, what are the advantages and how do you actually become the best employer? So joining us, Head of Strategic Clients in Randstad.
Hello everyone. It is my pleasure to be speaking with you today at the Randstad Employer Brand Research virtual event. My name is hr-Botka and I am a Managing Director with Randstad, and I am based in Florida in the United States. I hope wherever you are today, you are doing well and staying healthy. After what has clearly been a year that none of us could have expected, during a time that was exceptionally challenging for both employers and workers, it is now time to consider what learnings came out of 2020 and to build a strategy that will help drive your company's greater success. And an employer branding is clearly a priority area that truly can contribute to your organization's near and long-term results. So how does employer branding truly contribute to a company's success? Let's start at the beginning. Consider how you pick the consumer products you buy, whether it's a car, a pair of jeans, or a soft drink. As a consumer, you must have awareness of these products before you ever determine you have a preference for a brand. That same principle holds true for employers. Potential workers, whether you're doing full-time, part-time, or contract work for your organization, must fundamentally be aware of your company as an employer. That means you should have strong career sites and become a destination of choice for potential workers. It has to be well optimized through the same marketing principles that drive consumer advertising, where search engines queries generate results that lead consumers to your website. The consumers obviously are the job seekers. That means you have content on your website that is customized to a job seeker audience. Let's consider what some of the content should include. First of all, have you been able to uncover what truly is unique about your employer value proposition, or EVP as it's often referred to? That information may come directly from employee engagement surveys, focus groups, and/or content found on third-party websites like Glassdoor.com. The goal is to bring to light the factors that make your company a unique employer and ideally a true employer of choice. To further stand out, truly accurate job descriptions that convey the requirements and responsibilities of the role are important, but perhaps even more so, what a candidate can expect when working in a job, including the near-term opportunities, but also the path for future growth and success. I'm really enthusiastic about videos that convey a day in the life for those job roles that are most critical to your organization. For example, if you're looking for technology professionals, provide a lot of detail around the tools and tech that they will have access to. Provide video of the setting they will be working in, or perhaps more accurate in today's age, that they will have the opportunity and flexibility to work from a home office, but with the best equipment available in that great setting. Let people in the same role today talk about the rewards and most interesting aspects of the job and how collaborative, fun, or whatever it is that makes your team and environment so enticing. Some companies call this a realistic job preview. I call it giving the candidates and the most sought-after talent you seek the insights they truly need to make an informed decision about their professional future. So who should own the employer brand within your company? That's often a tough question to ask, and because it crosses so many different departments and stakeholders in your organization. But our recommendation to you is determine a true stakeholder to own this. If it's a team, so be it. If employer branding doesn't belong to anyone or a team in particular, it just doesn't seem to have a priority in your organization. So be sure to make it a priority. Start with a group that likely consists of stakeholders from human resources, talent acquisitions, or even hiring managers from an area that has the most current openings and who will gain from the success of a dedicated effort around employer brand. This group of diverse stakeholders will surely have a vested interest in building and enhancing your employer brand. Build a protocol in reporting the results of your efforts. It's critical. That could and should likely include statistics like applicant pipelining, so comparing responses and apply rates to any given job, and directly comparing activity before and after employer branding has become a priority. Other good statistics to measure include ratings on third-party sites that measure employee satisfactions, like Glassdoor and others. As the old adage says, what gets measured gets done. The same holds true for employer branding. As you can measure success and share results with executives, that will help make your focus on employer branding a true priority. But to really build on some of the measurements and successes I just mentioned, the optimum way to reveal your unique employer value proposition is to provide your team with the tools needed to live the brand. That can range from fundamentals that might include an employer brand toolkit to share jobs, videos, and content through their own personal and professional social media channels. Within our own company, Randstad, we provide access to social sharing platforms that allow our team to distribute content and new job opportunities, videos of our employees doing work together, whether that be around their current job or volunteering together. And we even provide hot job content that can be promoted through channels like LinkedIn. We also provide detailed materials around our employer and consumer branding efforts, which we call our Human Forward brand platform, so that our team understands how truly to exemplify and live our brand, whether that's in an office setting, whether they are engaging with clients or interacting with friends and family. It's important to note that any of these groups can also be potential buyers, job seekers, or employers. To live the brand is to be able to communicate what it means to work for your company in virtually any professional or personal setting. At any given point during the day, you and your team have opportunities to be true employer brand ambassadors. And if there's anything that the COVID crisis has taught us, these touch points are important and can help to enhance or detract from your employer brand. With what is likely to be a talent market in which most agile companies with the strongest employer brand will win, some things you need to consider. How to make your employer brand a true priority. Determine how you are going to measure the success of your efforts. If you are not already doing so, build a reporting mechanism to keep your C-suite informed on the success and the opportunities. Assign an individual or team to own the employer brand. If someone or a team is accountable, then this will become and remain a priority. Provide your team with the tools to contribute and share employer brand. Encourage them to post reviews of your employer feedback. Forums like Glassdoor, etc., will make all the difference in terms of attracting employees. Reward and recognize those colleagues who are sharing content on their own social channels. Give them access to brand materials that make it easy to live and share your company's employer brand. Constantly evaluate how your brand is perceived in the market and among your own employee, contractor, and freelancer teams. Use engagement survey data, conduct focus groups, and constantly follow online feedback to your company and its reputation as an employer. Respond promptly to feedback, both positive and negative, and build strong ambassadors that play a strong role in living the brand and promoting your company as employer of choice. Hopefully these tips give you some insights. Thank you for attending today's event. It's been a pleasure for me to speak with you today.
Thank you, Harry, so much. And we're moving on to part 2, which is an employer brand in the new world. Yes, the changes is coming, and it's unavoidable. Of course, everything changes. There's time and space, and locations change. So let's talk about the transformation of the employer brand. Let's start with the topic, which is very important and on top of everybody's mind, which is changing your employer, changing the job. And the question was, have you changed your job place in the past 6 months? Well, 2020 turned out to be very unusual. While in the past, people would volunteer to actually change an employer. So, and this time around, people had to do it not because they wanted, but because they had to. So 1 of 8 people have changed their employment in the past 6 months. COVID, of course, have really impacted. For the 60%, nothing has changed. But for the other 40, they work more, less, and differently. Yeah, and they've seen their salary change. They had to go on forced vacation or were just fired. So in the past 2020, we've heard a lot from the media and from the market that people are really careful when it comes to changing their employer and instead trying to stick to their job. And only 17% of people have changed or forced to change their job because of the COVID-19, especially here in Russia. If they were not fired, but their job condition has changed, and you see, of course, you have to seek employment. Or if people see that their employer didn't take care, despite the fear, despite the limitations, they had to seek employment. So how do you do that if you have to seek employment during the COVID situation? Here's the ranking of where you go. Interestingly enough, some of these channels remain very, very popular, but the number of votes have changed if you compare 2021 and 2020. So this year, we decided to also look at the power of the employer brand, and that is shining when there's a crisis outdoor. So we asked the respondents, please assess your loyalty towards the current employment, and based on what? And about 1/5 of all people become more loyal towards their brand due to the fact that they can work remotely or partially, and they see it as a safe work environment. So, and from numbers, let me go to experience, and I would like to give floor to Daria Hadjirova. She is head of employer brand developer at IKEA. Daria, welcome so much. So, and please share your experience. Share your experience of how you fight for employer loyalty and how you create safe environment. So, speaking of safe environment, that's one of the top priorities here at IKEA, and we're talking about both the physical and the mental state of our employees. And I guess it has to do with the fact that we of course create a safe environment. So in terms of healthcare, in terms of support, in terms of if you are physically challenged, then we of course provide special devices for hearing impaired people or physically impaired. We have a special health coverage for pregnant women and for sight impaired people. And since this year, we've also introduced cancer-related checkup, and we also have this huge program called Health and Well-being. We have invited speakers that talk about the healthy lifestyle, about the financial literacy, and we also help people fight stress and, of course, to understand themselves in a better way. COVID, of course, has introduced changes to our life, and of course, we also support people financially as well as in many other ways. So speaking of a favorable environment, of course, the idea is that it's a very comprehensive work. And it's so important that people are not only satisfied with the work, but also that they're comfortable in our unique sort of ecosystem. And that is created, of course, through inspiration. So, and that, of course, through inclusive teams that everybody can be what they want to be. So, as a matter of fact, of course, we have an annual engagement survey, and it is important to note that on a traditional basis, if you look at engagement, it's always been very high. NPS has always been very high. Or, for example, IKEA is the best place to work. It's actually went up to 87% this year. We're very, very proud of being a brand of choice for our employees. And that means that we're moving in the right direction. It means that when it comes to the talent work, we indeed take care and make sure that our employees are safe and well. Well, thank you, Daria. Thank you so much. And I have to ask you, you're a retailer, and it's a challenging year. What about your people? What about your employees? I mean, how have they been? Because it's been the whole lockdown. It must have been very, very challenging for them. Well, sure, absolutely. And of course, we follow local regulation, but come what may, of course, it's still very, very important to be safe and make sure that, of course, we had to close stores and we went online. We actually created a special working hour arrangements so that people socialize less, so that they're safe, so there's lower risk of contamination, masks wearing, sanitizing and whatnot. Social distancing and lots of other things, of course. I mean, the way, for example, people eat no longer in the same canteen, but in safe personal lunch boxes. And, well, let me just say that not a single person was fired because of the pandemic. And we kept the salaries, of course. And the people that are senior and women were actually moved remotely. Actually, before the government stepped in. So a lot of the things that are mandatory we did preemptively. But what's important, I think, is that we created the right informational hub. And on that hub, we would then post messages about what's happening with the COVID, would educate people, would have live broadcasts explaining what to do and how to work amidst the pandemic, and essentially making sure that we understand how people feel and how they are. And it's so important that people feel protected and safe. And I would say 90% of employees were absolutely sure about the future of IKEA, about the fact that the company will overcome the difficulties. And I would say more than 85% of our employees said that yes, they feel that that the IKEA cares. They feel like they have very strong management support, and that's amazing. That's great. Thank you so much, Daria, and I would like to invite one more guest. and this one is Dmitry Borodich, head of HR and brand development at Fosagra. So, what about people that are not necessarily career-driven? Yes, hello, ladies and gentlemen. So it's an interesting question, and let me start from afar. The thing is that an employee brand is not just working with candidates, right, the FTEs, but also temporary workers. It's as an agricultural company. Of course, we work with students, we work with apprentices, we work with junior professionals, with the future professionals that might come to us, but might go elsewhere. So we have two projects. One of them is the Fosagra Academy, where we work with the young people. I mean, high school kids, students, college kids. Basically working with the young generation that are not necessarily career-driven, because as you know that the millennials and the digital natives, they're not necessarily about the career, they're about a challenge. So it's not just about the money for them, but it's about contribution in changing the world. And people are wondering, like, how come that, why would I come to work for you? What's so special about you? What makes you different? That's what they want. So they don't care about the career per se, they care about excitement, and they care about the kind of environment inside the company and things like that. And the point is that work is where we spend most of our life, and the kind of culture that we develop and the kind of culture that we experience is so important. And since a young age, I would say since childhood, it's very, very important to listen to the young people, to understand what they want and how they want to live, and make necessary changes. And in 2020, we've launched several projects to transform HR function, so to cater to the young generation. And again, the idea was to completely change the way we see working with younger generation. So, and at any point, at any time, you can always go through the app, check out your score, and try different courses, go through the psychological assessment to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, what you need to improve, maybe go through some additional trainings, improve certain skill sets that you're missing out on, also network with your peers. So, and I honestly believe that work is supposed to be not necessarily about career or money, but it has to be about what you really want to do best. If you're having fun, if you love what you do, I mean, that's what ultimately matters, right? You will always bring your A game if you do what you love. And that's the main trend, that work is supposed to be a hobby. It shouldn't even be called work. It should be a hobby, something that you love doing, and not waiting for the day to over and finally go home, but to really tap dance to work, so to say, right? And focus on bringing value. So that's what we're focusing on with regards to the young generations, not just the career opportunities, but making sure that they really focus on their strength. And if they haven't yet figured out what the strong strength is, to help them identify their strengths so that they can become the best possible version of themselves. Well, thank you, Dmitry, very much. So, what about, I mean, your employer brand in 2020? What has changed about you? Well, I believe that you expect me to say that we've reduced our costs, we've changed our approach, and we downsized and whatnot. No, we have not. Sorry for disappointing you, but we actually even expanded it because, well, and we're not alone on the market. Despite the pandemic, we actually did the other way around. 2020 has been a very, very unique in terms of us going online, and in terms of, I mean, I guess it's true for any company that has an office space, right? So the majority of people went remote, and that has changed the way we do it. So in the past, we'll think, okay, we'll have some online courses, okay, we'll have some online academy or whatever. But now, when you see that online is not an add-on, but something that you do all of the time, so that, of course, forced us to sort of shift the gear And this came from the owners. This came from the executive management. It's because you need to find ambassadors. You need to find people that are truly engaged, people that are not only waiting for the order, not only waiting for the instruction to go online and to learn, but actually seek knowledge and are willing and excited about using these instruments. And because that's great, that's scalable, and it's something that you can indeed do anytime you want, anytime, any place, anywhere. See, and this has to be, of course, systemic because we employ thousands of people. So there's a big project out there, more than $1 million budget to introduce a brand new software, and this software will create that self-service platform, and every employee, all the way to the very bottom, like even the cleaners, even the housekeepers, or anyone can log in, can learn more about career opportunities, job opportunities, about potential training available to them, and bring therefore more value to what they do, understand what they need to change about themselves, yeah. So that's a brand new software that we're introducing, and this will cover the whole company. Because sometimes people want to evolve, but they don't know where to start. And I see my employees as my clients. For them, they're my clients. So, and my job is to create the right infrastructure so that, they strive for the best, ambitious, and it's good that 2020 actually highlighted again our weaknesses in terms of online content instead of seeing it as something secondary. And we receive full company support so that we can prioritize it and make sure that we can actually make our brand even stronger, even better for the young generation as well as for the future generations as well. Well, it's amazing. Look, we have all these diverse companies here, so we continue. We continue because it's a marathon. And joining us today, Galina Golashapova. Galina Golashapova is Head of Operational Development and HR Development from Gazprom Neft. Gazprom Neft has won the Best Employee Award three times. Right, and you are part of the International Hall of Fame of Randstad, right? Galina, welcome. So you're a big oil and gas company, lots of entities all across Russia and beyond. So they say that it is very difficult to attract people that don't have any career goals. They're just here to make money and then they're gone. So what exactly do you do for these kind of people? And have you become more or less attractive for these people in the past 12 months? A great question. Thank you for saying that. And thank God we're not only talking about the white-collar people, but working about people in the fields, because we're an oil and gas company. And amidst the pandemic, it's now clear that it's very important for us to change the focus and not only focus on external candidates, but internal and to internal communication. So that is absolutely critical today, especially for the field workers, the people on the ground, the people on the field. And that's what I would like to talk about, and that's what I'd like to actually offer from my side. Because, look, last year, it turned out that, yes, the salaries are good. Yes, we have incredible professionals that work in shifts. But because of the pandemic, we had to actually extend the shift from 1 month to 3 months. And it's hard. Imagine that you are spending 3 months on location, right, on an oil field. It's tough. So you need to provide the right conditions. It's not just the right environment. It's not just about the best possible environment, but just the proper living environment, so that focusing on the teamwork, on psychology, on mutual support for the field workers, right, for the oil men that are producing actual oil and gas, and that would actually help. I mean, very few people left, very few people. And speaking of the brand employer brand, so I mean, we now have yet one more element, taking really good care of health and safety, and the focus especially in critical situations, when we say, look, okay, we are providing additional opportunities for the physical and the mental health of our staff on the field, which costs money, but we're ready to spend it simply because we appreciate these people, because they are the breadwinners. They produce that oil, and we're dependent on them. So besides that, of course, we'd like to have an attractive environment for all people, white collar, blue collar, and beyond. So it has to be a customizable environment, not just by type of employment, but also by segments, which is very important, to have a personalized employee brand experience. And that, I think, is what every brand will have to do more of. Well, Galina, thank you so much. I need to ask you a question because you've won the award 3 times. Gazprom Neft is a very powerful employee brand, and you have a tremendous credit of trust. So how long can you kick the can down the road and do nothing and still attract the best people in Russia? Do you have the luxury of not doing anything just to be complacent? Well, it's very seductive to rest on your laurels, but let me be honest here. So we continuously evolve. We change the way we do things, team-wise, employee-wise, ecosystem-wise. It doesn't really matter how successful you are. You can never, become complacent. And the way we attract people and engage them, I mean, it's a continuum. Okay, the COVID is now, then we're gonna be past COVID and vaccination. So what else, right? It's ecocentricity. That's our approach, right? We're going from the details, from the human. The human is in the center. So everything is like a human is like a sun, and everything else is like planets revolving around the human being. So that's the way we build our approach. So the employer brand has to be reimagined, if you will. So this brand new project, of course, on EVP, is soul searching where we are and where we want to be, right, as an employer brand. So we did this interesting study, a really exciting study, and incredible results. So we looked at the young professionals, people that come to us, and people that, let's say, have been with us for a long time. And it was a shocker for me, because it seems like it's the same job description, but people are completely different. Yes, we have certain level of awareness. Yes, we hire for attitude, and we want the right people. But what if we do this unconsciously? What if our corporate culture is so strong that it wouldn't even allow us to be innovative anymore? Because the stronger you are, the weaker you are at the same time. You become less attractive. You're no longer attracting creativity. You're no longer attracting design thinking, because you've been there, done that, and you already have this big system set up so rigidly that it doesn't even allow for any flexibility. And who we are, where we want to be, how flexible are we really? How attractive are we really for the new generation of people? And that's what we've done. We've upgraded a lot of that. We had some incredible projects. So creating the future pool of talents. So completely changing the approach to the whole technology of working with people. It's basically a product-based approach to a production-based company, and that is a very, very difficult thing to do, where you treat HR as a product. It's a comprehensive project, and let me just say that an employee brand is not just focusing on specific types of people, but team focus, very important, because certain teams, and I'm not talking about IT. IT teams, everybody knows IT teams. I mean, sometimes, people in IT, they love working in teams. But generally speaking, there has to be more team approach. For example, oil and gas production or drilling or exploration. We need to think not in terms of people, but in terms of teams, which is something that we've never done in oil and gas before. There has to be the exact same team approach, just like you have in IT sector, for example. And that's new. That's what we've never done before. And that is what will help us adjust stay afloat and stay in a peak shape. So I believe that when you believe you can go on vacation, right, close quote unquote, as a professional, then that's it, you're done. You either expand or you contract. We want to continuously expand, so there's no time for rest. Thank you, Galina. Very inspiring as usual. So, and without further ado, of course, we're going to talk about young professionals and whatnot. So I'd like to actually give the floor from someone who represents a high-tech company, Olga Filatova, Executive Vice President on HR and Organizational Development and Support from Beeline, a top 3 telecom company in Russia. Welcome, Galina. Welcome, Olga. Yeah. Happy to see you. Likewise. Please share your employer brand. Just how much focus is there on young professionals? And speaking of your EVP, is there something for the Z or whatever generation as they call them? Okay, let me try that. That's interesting. So more than 50% of our people are what we call young professionals, simply because we have all the retail facilities and we have call centers and whatnot, and of course it's mostly young jobs for young people, and we have the so-called IT digital jobs that attract young people. So yeah, I mean, of course, this is a prime audience, young professionals, the digital natives. So as a market, from the market standpoint, of course, Beeline is focusing on the young generation as well as internally. So let me tell you exactly what we've done and what we do with regards to these generations. Well, apart from some of the generic stuff that I don't want to talk about, simply because everybody does it. Of course, we use social media and blah, 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 etc. And of course, the LinkedIn, the Facebook, and the whatnot. And of course, we seek the best candidates and all that. But that's all generic. So let me instead focus on something interesting, something that we've launched recently and testing at the moment. We believe that it is so important to how do you call it, across to be with them when they're at high school, in college, at university, to support them along the way. So we start really early. It's you can call it a seamless relationship that starts really early. So that's what's important. And so we'll launch this program for 12, 13, 14-year-olds, where we offer career opportunities, apprenticeships, and it's an academy, a lot of that on digital skills and soft skills, and they can come, it's free of charge, right? And we have other young professionals, like 20, 25-year-olds, but already employed by Beeline, and they deliver all those talks and lectures and whatnot. And we're also testing it on our current employees as well as former future students. So, and that's going to be an open market platform, and that will create incredible exposure for these people. So, and of course we have apprenticeships, and of course it is called a beginner program. So everybody starts with the B because we're Beeline, right? Beeline means every program starts with the B, and this is for a senior high school children or college or university students. And again, we also do it by department or by business line, so that people have some specifics about whether it's a retail network or some back office stuff or more of an R&D, etc. So, and speaking of this generation, of course, you need to understand the value, because this new generation, young people, are driven by value. They're very idealistic. And I guess I'm running out of time here. Just a couple of words about that. The value proposition, the EVP. And we're now testing this brand new, incredible EVP, and it sounds like that. Come to Beeline. And Beeline is changing and evolving. It's a company that is striving to be digital both internally and externally. So, and that's what's important for the young generation. They really want to have a digital, truly digital lifestyle. And that's a big challenge. And I think that that's what's going to attract all the right people. Okay, thank you, Olga. And you took the word out of my mouth, as a matter of fact. So it's okay that we're running out of time. It's fine. So I wanted to ask you about the priorities, not just about the young people, but what are your priorities? I mean, in terms of employee brand for this 2021, what are you focusing on specifically? I kind of mentioned that a little bit. Digitalization is number one, and trying to become a truly digital company for, the company inside and outside with the market. So we're attracting people that are required to make it happen. And this year, the top priority is very, very specific. It's the IT, digital, data scientists. That's the people we want. These are hot jobs. They are absolutely essential to build internal competences. So we try to become a very, very attractive employer for these digitally savvy people. They can be students, they can be young professionals, not so young. I don't really care. So we have, for example, a dedicated course for IT developers, which we do in association with the Novosibirsk State University. We have the big data laboratory there. So we do lectures, talks, breaking down cases. So very, really incredible. And we have all these incredible, talented IT students that then come to us and then choose us as the preferred employer brand. So these kind of partners, these kind of liaisons, would like to have more of it with other universities. So it's not just about Moscow, and not so much, and not really about Moscow, because it doesn't really matter. Yes, of course, the Be Free is well known, and Be Free about remote work. So, and if it's remote, it can be anywhere. So we're not really bound by Moscow at all, as a matter of fact, right? And we can attract people from all over the world, essentially, right? So, and that's the goal, that's the task, on the one hand. And on the other hand, it's a really powerful competitive advantage for these types of professionals, because they love freedom, they want to be free, they want to be flexible, they want a truly hybrid approach to work, and that's part of our value proposition. Thank you, Olga. Thank you, and continued success in your ambitious endeavors. And I would like to have one more person and learn from him. So joining us, Mikhail Pakrowski, yes, the CEO of DeLonghi in Russia, Ukraine, and the CIS. Welcome. Why? What do you care? Why would DeLonghi invest in an employer brand? What's in it for you as the CEO? What are the benefits of this kind of investments? What's the return on these investments? Well, having a strong employer brand gives us performance, gives us high performance, makes us effective. That's it. It's about high performance. I wouldn't say that we invest much in advertisement, but we invest a lot in making sure that people are comfortable, that people find it really attractive here, and trying to match their expectations, because people have their life expectations, they have their ambition, they have their and that's what's important for us. So we are a well sought out employee brand. And people come to us simply because we really took care. We take care. We make sure that people will connect their life with our company. That's it. I think we're doing a pretty good job at that. I think we're doing okay. Some time ago, we actually invested a lot. And I can personally say that that's what I mostly do as a CEO. So this organizational transformation. So that's my prime occupation, because as far as business routine, I have other departments doing that, so I don't need to be operationally involved, and they're pretty good at this, because if you look at our performance across the markets, DeLonghi has always been a market leader. It's one of the best, and in certain cases we are global leaders, and we will continue to always strive to be the best. So the very, very few companies can go toe to toe with us when it comes to coffee making, for example, be it Europe, be it anywhere in the world, or be it in Russia, for example. And the same for food equipment. We have several brands that are world known and are really excellent. So, as far as operational excellence, we've been doing this for years. But my prime job is working with people. And that's the main challenge. And of course, we all talk about consumer centricity, and all the best companies are consumer centric. So based on that notion, of course, we have to also be employee centric. That's the only way to go. So we treat an employee as a partner, as a customer. And because if you don't have a happy employee, you will never have a happy customer. Because ultimately, a company is a totality of people. And if they're not happy, then how can they make customers happy? So, and that's how what I would say. Thank you, Mikhail. Thank you. Yes, sure. We love coffee. Yeah, for sure. So, as a CEO, of course, you manage so many functions: financial, IT, sales, etc. And you sort of touched upon the fact that HR occupies a huge chunk of your daily life. So, tell us maybe a little bit more specific. What exactly do you do when it comes to HR as a CEO? Well, like I said, as a CEO, I mean, HR is my #1 priority because everything else is basically, I've given away to other people. That's why I have my other teams. They do finance, operations, etc. So, but several years ago, we decided to focus our company into the so-called self-management. I'm sure many of you understand what spiral dynamics is. It's a really incredible system that creates an entrepreneurial culture and makes people self-sufficient. So, and that's what we've been specifically focusing on, a so-called tiled company, self-managed company. So we've done so much to become that. So many organizational changes to really become that in terms of incentives, in terms of management, in terms of the way we do things. We have very flat structure, very few what we call bosses, and a lot of people that are empowered, that are great leaders, that are professionals in their area, but at the same time know how to lead and know how to own what they do and see it as a business. So we've always been that way, very entrepreneurial in nature. And our employees, they move around the company. So from one department to another, from one business area to another. We've always been that way. For example, we have certain areas that are relatively low cost, but at the same time create tremendous margin, such as, for example, so we have Kenwood. You probably know Kenwood, one of our brands. And we develop these brand ambassadors. So we sell it not through retail outlets, but it's a direct-to-consumer model. And we promote some of this premium equipment through opinion leaders, and we've been very, very good at this. Well, thank you, Mikhail. Thank you. Always important to talk to the CEO, the real decision makers. But of course, wouldn't be here if it wasn't for yet another speaker. And his presentation, by the way, caused quite a story a year ago. Head of Corporate Communication and PR of Randstad, basically the founder and the ideologist, basically the grandpa of Randstad employer brand, Jan Denys. And it's so important to actually focus on employer brand during the crisis, to keep it a priority. And that's why we have Jan Denys here to talk about the change and the evolution of this component as a strategic element of a successful business.
As we could expect, the impact of COVID on labor markets in Kazakhstan, Russia, and Ukraine was big, was huge. If we ask people what happened with them after the COVID crisis started, then let's say half of the people said that they worked as they did before. 10 to 15% said they worked, but they worked less hours than before. Funny is that for 5 to 7% of the people, that they had to work more hours than before. That was interesting to notice. And then we have, let's say, 10 to 15% of the people who became unemployed, although for some of them it was only on a temporary basis. So they were unemployed for a couple of weeks, months, and then they returned to their former employer. So yes, the impact as we could expect, was quite huge. Another interesting impact, of course, is that for half of the working people, they had to work at home. They had to work remotely. So, and this is more or less the same share of the population comparing to, let's say, Belgium. So we have the same figures over here. Almost half of the people worked after the crisis, they worked at home. So these are the main consequences of COVID. And yes, you can say the impact of COVID on labor markets was quite big. Well, that was interesting to notice what happened over there. First of all, if we look at the top 10 companies, the 10 most attractive companies in the different countries, then we see that in general, 7 of 10 companies that were very attractive last year, 2020, are still attractive this year. Yeah, and that's a normal figure that we have from year to year, even before COVID. So you can say that COVID in itself had no huge impact on the most attractive companies. The companies who were attractive before COVID are still attractive, and the opposite. So no huge impact over there. Well, this is a very interesting finding. When COVID started last year, we could expect, okay, COVID will change the minds of the people, and maybe they will change the criteria why they choose an employer. So we expected that the ranking of the criteria would change. But what do we see? We see that that didn't happen. The top 5 of the criteria why people choose an employer, and that's salary, that's a good working atmosphere, career progression, job content. These criteria are still the same. So the top 5 of criteria didn't change at all. And that counts, that's for the 3 countries. So the ranking in criteria, why do people choose an employer, that did not change. So from that point of view, COVID had no big impact on employer brands. And that is a little surprise, because when COVID started, and I just explained that it had a big impact on the labor market, but it had no big impact on the employer brands. Moreover, because of COVID, we decided that maybe some new criteria would come up in choosing an employer. And we thought two criteria could play maybe an important role. First of all, the possibility to work remote. That is a situation that, existed already before, but was quite marginal. And now, as I just explained, half of the people had the possibility to work at home instead of at the office. So maybe that could become a new criteria to choose an employer. Is that an employer where I have the possibility to work at home? So that was the first criterion we added. And the second one is, of course, people who had to work on the spot in the working place. For them, it's very important that they can work in safe conditions. So we added another criterion, namely, is it a workplace where I feel safe, where I feel secure? So these 2 criteria were added. We were very curious. How important are they? Well, what is the finding? They are not that important. In the whole ranking of the different criteria, they are not in the top, they are not even in the middle, they are more in the bottom of the ranking. So also here, COVID is not really changing the behavior of people, why they choose an employer. Even the possibility to work remote or to work in safe conditions doesn't influence the ranking of the criteria. So this is a very interesting finding. There is one very remarkable difference between Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Russia, and most of the Western European countries. Yeah? We see that in the top 5 of criteria, why do they choose an employer, that in most West European countries that work security plays a very important role. And secondly, the whole work-life balance. That's a top 5 criterion in most of the countries. And it's not in Russia and Kazakhstan and Ukraine. I don't know the reason for that. I should dig in deeper in what's going on these labor markets, but that's a very interesting finding, a very interesting difference between these regions, because normally all over the globe, because, you know, we do this study all over the globe on 4 continents, differences between regions are not that outspoken, and so it's very interesting to find one, and this is a very clear one, although I have no explanation why that is. If I have to make one big conclusion, then I would say that COVID-19 is no game changer in the employer brand business. So it didn't change the rationale, it didn't change the way people act and choose an employer. So that means for our clients, for the business people, that if they have a strategy on employer branding, that they don't need to change that strategy completely. Maybe they have to do some minor changes, but in general, if you have a clear strategy, there's no need because of COVID to change that. Yeah. So COVID was no game changer.
Thank you, Jan Dennis. Thank you so much for this presentation. So now it is the time to celebrate those who have succeeded in the employee brand strength. So we're going to find out who are the most attractive employer brands. And because we have 26, of course, we're not going to go for the whole list, but only give the selected.
Randstad и ANCOR объявляют имена самых привлекательных работодателей в исследуемых секторах экономики. В этом году в исследовании участвовали компании из 25 отраслей. Прежде чем мы назовем имена обладателей Randstad Award, давайте посмотрим на сектора, в которых исследовались обладатели главных наград. Одна из компаний сектора, «Газпромнефть», обладала титулом самого привлекательного работодателя России 3 года подряд и удостоена специальной международной номинации «Зал славы Randstad». В 5 самых привлекательных для работы компаний в нефтегазовой сфере вошли компании «Газпром», «Роснефть», «Руснефть», «Транснефть», «Сургутнефтегаз». А победителем, как в секторе, так и среди всех компаний, является «Газпром». В автобизнесе также определился обладатель главной награды в номинации «Международная компания Mercedes-Benz». Одна из самых привлекательных работодателей сектора Mercedes-Benz, Nissan,
including BMW, Nissan, Volvo Group, and Nissan. The second most attractive sector is white goods and electronics sector. A top 5 list includes Apple, LG, Philips, Samsung, and Sony. And the most attractive is Samsung. In the equipment and equipment design, the top 5 list includes Honeywell, Schneider Electric, Siemens, United Industrial Corporation, and Roselectronica. And this nomination goes to Schneider Electric. When it comes to energy, the top 5 list includes Eurasia, Interrao, Rosatom, Rosgidro, and Siberian Electric Company. And this nomination goes to Eurasia. In the machine construction and design, the top 5 lists includes VKO, Almaz, Antey, United Shipping Corporation, Roscosmos, Russian Machines, and Techmash. And this nomination 2021 goes to VKO, Almaz, Antey. So, a top 5 in network and telecommunication equipment consists of Dell, Fujitsu, HP, Huawei, and Nokia. And this nomination goes to Huawei. In the transportation sector, the list includes S7, Aeroflot, Novoport, Russian Railways, and Sheremetyevo International Airport. And this nomination goes to Aeroflot, Russian Airlines. IT consulting and software development list consists of IBM, Microsoft, SAP, Kaspersky Laboratory, and CFT. And the most attractive employer brand this time goes to Microsoft. In the metals and mining sector, the list includes Alarosa, NLMK, Norilsky Nickel, Rusal, and TMK. And this nomination goes to Norilsky Nickel. So the top 5 internet technology-related companies include Tugismail, RU, Ramberg & Co., Sky, and Yandex. And the most attractive employer brand in this nomination goes to Yandex. In the construction materials and construction equipment, the list includes Tsersanit, Knauf, Rehau, Rockwool, and Technonicol. And the most attractive employer brand goes to Tsersanit. In the FMCG sector, food and non-food alike, includes, in the food sector, the top 5 brands include Bacardi, Ferrera, Mars, Maxim, and Nestle. And this nomination goes to Nestle. In the non-food sector, the top 5 list includes L'Oreal, Philip Morris, Procter & Gamble, SCC Johnson, and Unilever. And this nomination goes to Procter & Gamble. So, and my congratulations, of course, goes to the best employer brands in Russia. And before we move on to the final session, I would like to have here one more speaker, Stefan Teucher, the CEO of BMW Group Russia. Welcome, Stefan, and thank you for being with us today. And let's jump in. And of course, you're here to speak English. So, Stefan, welcome. Yes, welcome.
Brand occupy in your CEO's agenda?
First of all, здравствуйте, добрый день, and I'm happy to be here at your conference. Yeah, the employer brand is really important for us. So for many years, BMW on a worldwide level is working on it. And also here in Russia, we are already since 22 years as a national sales company. And we have been awarded many times for the strongest employer brand. So thanks for that. And we are working on it with our employees and with the HR department every day. The core values of our companies are really easy. So we can summarize them in 5 areas. So first one is trust. And trust is really important. And last year during the Corona crisis, I think it was very important when everybody has to work from home that the trust was given to our employees that they can manage it. And they did. And we are very proud of the whole team because they kept the whole company running and even more successful than it was planned. Secondly, of course, is appreciation. So if we achieve good things, then we should also appreciate our employees and our colleagues. And we should celebrate from time to time what has been achieved and not to forget this, because we are tending to run to the next target already, but appreciation is important. Openness, so to create a climate where you can openly talk, where you can really say, you know what, I don't understand this, or I don't like this, why we don't do it in a different way. And this independently from the hierarchy, so independently who is actually the one who is questioned. Then transparency. So the employees should know where the company is heading to, and of course, what is their individual role within these strategic targets and how they can develop themselves within the company. You know, I'm already 28 years with BMW, and there was not a single day when I felt, okay, it's too long, I need to leave. So it was always exciting, it was always challenging. Every 3 to 5 years, I could change my responsibility, and it was really developing myself. And of course, I was part of the success story of the company, which makes you proud, and being part of the team is something which everyone is looking for. And the last, of course, is responsibility. So everyone is responsible for what he or she is doing. And our colleagues, they know it, which means we give them also the responsibility to take care about certain things, not micromanaging every day. And then they feel even more responsible to achieve it and more proud if they achieved it. So in total, I can say all our colleagues, they are young, they are diverse, they are innovative, they love to work with the company. And also in Russia, we have many colleagues already working for 20 years from the very first day, and more to come. So I'm really proud of the whole team.
Thank you, Stefan. BMW has got a really strong employer brand and a very famous consumer brand. What do you think about your consumer brand influencing your employer brand? And what's even more interesting, do you feel that BMW employer brand influences your consumer brand?
Very good question, and I can say yes and yes. So first of all, if you look at our consumer brand, of course, BMW is a well-known brand all over the world, but not only BMW, you know that we have 4 brands actually, which means BMW Mini, BMW Motorrad, and Rolls-Royce. And independently in which area you're working, there is a certain perception, there is a strong brand all over the world, so you do not need to explain what's all about BMW. So therefore, we have many young people who really see and feel the brand already while growing up, starting from the baby racer to the bicycle, then the father or the family has a BMW or a Mini in the family, and you get in touch with the brand very soon and very early. And if you like the brand, of course, your desire is increasing that one day you might work for this company and you might be part of the success, of the future success, and it's changing all the time. So automotive industry is changing within the next 10 years more than within the last 100 years. So therefore, it's an exciting place to be, and we need young talents. We are looking for the best young talents. And of course, therefore, it's important to have these young talents available. They want to work for our company, and when they come, they are highly motivated really to bring in themselves, their experience, their view, and helping us to do the things better, to take care about the customers, and also to take care about our dealer network, which is highly important. And therefore, yes, if we as an employer are strong, it helps us to have a better consumer branding and vice versa. So therefore, I can really say, not only in Russia, but all over the world, with a strong brand and with a strong employer branding, you get the best talents, and then you can reach the best targets.
Thank you, Stefan. Мы поздравляем BMW со статусом одного из 5
Congratulations
самых
to
привлекательных
BMW as a top 5 most attractive employer brands in the automotive sector. So continued success in your endeavor. And without further ado, Alexei, I would like to offer you to launch a new section with the presentation of a brand new product that ANCOR and Randstad are jointly going to present and launch this year. So, of course, now with digitalization, you need to manage data, and we have come with a brand new dashboard for additional opportunities. Absolutely, absolutely. So now we have a brand new dashboard. So let me start with this presentation to show you the advantages. So now with the digital technology, you see my laptop and my screen. This is basically live. This is real dashboard. And this year, dashboard, for those who know it, is completely changed. This has been redesigned. It's a different platform. And this gives you incredible data insights. So and without going into, and without giving you spoiler alerts, I've taken Australia and New Zealand. Just imagine that I'm part of the ISB bank, and my benchmark are two other brands on the New Zealand market. So I can choose any country, any focus, or any benchmark. Okay. So let's imagine this is New Zealand or Australia. Here I am inside the dashboard, and in the introduction we have driver set, upscale, the research, right, the selection, and this is what me and Natalia have talked about. So what's important for our clients is the sector performance. Okay, let me show you sector performance. You know it. You know this grid. This one is for Australia and New Zealand. Fully understanding that, for example, I represent banking and financial services, and therefore I can check out my brand right there. That's my sector. In terms of awareness versus attractiveness, I can choose a country, all countries, or just Australia, or just New Zealand. So right now we have two countries here on the map. Country position analysis, etc. Probably the most exciting metric for our clients is the company-related and sector-related performance, right, within a particular given country. And that you can see right there, top companies by attractiveness. That's my bank, ASB Bank versus others. Okay, and probably the main value of this new dashboard is that right there on the fly, I can basically get a full picture, not just across 3 banks, but I can add any number of any other companies out there, and the dashboard will recalculate it, and voila, you see, and you see a full list of companies. Thousands, can be thousands of companies, anyone who's been part of this research, and that is a new feature. This is a very important feature of this new product. Okay, so the internet connection is quite slow, but we see I added 2 new companies. And another one, which is also very important, you can do ranking by key driver. So the exact same 5 companies, and I can rank order them by key drivers. And we've been talking about this key drivers these full 2 hours. So you see the list of companies right there at the bottom, and I can check out not just the general one, but across all criteria. And so another one about this new dashboard is that I can, again, on the fly, I can put it as a table right there. That's the table. You see the numbers here. Or I can download it as PNG, or I get PD, or as a data file, or I can add it to the so-called slide deck. And that means that a certain number of slides that I'm accumulating right there. See the slide deck, so I can take it to my PowerPoint presentation right away. I can file it, and I can actually export it to my PowerPoint. Or another one, which is the top companies per key driver. So I can rank order basically any company by factor. And for example, if I still want to know 3 companies that I selected regionally, I can remove the other 2, and voila, this dashboard will give me only top companies by key driver of the ones that I selected. So at any stage of the presentation, you can filter out, for example, millennials, only for millennials, or only for males, only for females, and the system will do this on the fly. See, voila, you have the numbers out there. So, and I've selected a particular millennials, and I'm staying within that group. Okay, so the company rating also by country, by target group is also very important, is that I can have this visuals. I can compare myself versus the target group, which is target group, yeah, and these are millennials, right, 25 to 34, and I can then filter it out down to women, men, and some other things. And the last but not least, of course, is that you can actually look at the key driver importance. So this is what's important for people in a particular given country. So here by country, you see the blue one is by country and the yellow is my target group. And in this particular case, these are millennials. So that's the new dashboard. And of course, in a couple of minutes, it's impossible to show you the full dashboard, but as a teaser, let me just say that the dashboard, of course, will be in Russian for sure, but the most valuable thing is that this year we are looking at direct access to this dashboard. So that means that you will have direct access, number one, and number two, we're planning to dramatically expand the amount of data available to our consumers, to our clients. And this year, of course, all participants will get full access for Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan in this brand new updated panel. Thank you, Alexei. So on top of that, on top of Randstad employer brand research, so we have additional factors because the online conference, of course, would like to have an endless lineup of speakers, but we can't. But still, it is very, very important to at least get a benchmark. So, and this is what we're going to discuss today. So, speaking of the amount of work that companies spend on boosting their employer brand. So the top three: reputation management on the labor market, improving the quality of hiring and the quality of motivation and engagement. And according to our guests, again, improving the company value as an asset, that is the least important. And speaking of the most important elements, I would rather focus on a positive human experience and managing corporate well-being, as well as remote and online employment. So these are the most important things. Also working with young people, healthcare, as well as retaining corporate culture in the digital environment. And speaking of the role of HR into the future, so the overall majority of response said it's about sustainable development and human development. So thank you, Natalia. Thank you. And with that, I would like to pass floor to an expert and talk about the industry as a whole, about professionals of the future. And in this new world, as you know, well, HR, of course, is important. But what is the future HR professional? What is going to be required of an HR professional? So I would like to have here a professor from the Moscow School of Skolkovo, Elena Vichak, a true professional in HR. Elena, welcome. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. So tell our guests about the future. First of all, thank you so much for being with us today, and some really high-paced conference. Very little time, so let me get straight to the chase. So, speaking of macroeconomics and the overall financial and credit monetary system, they say that in Russia, unlike in other countries, they say that Russia actually skipped several stages. Basically, it has got up they went from paper to just contactless to NFC. But in the United States, let's say they still use checks. In Russia, they've skipped several stages. So HR functions just like that. You can skip several stages and go all the way to the highest level. Of course, HR depends on organizational maturity of the company. It depends on where you are. And for some, like when they say automation, it's still like basic old school, and for others automation means like a total digital corporation and completely seamless digital distributed being. So it's different to different people. So I believe that the future of an HR professional is to leapfrog. It's about leapfrogging. So even if all you do is routine HR, you need to leapfrog, and this is unavoidable. So nobody really cares about just hiring, just onboarding, just motivation. So the future of HR is about more holistic. And if you look at some of the best companies, it's about digital collaboration. It's about the new approach to working with people. It's about human analytics. It's about the dashboards that you showed. It's about psychology-related analytics and on the cusps of analytics and psychology. And it's about leadership. Yeah, that's an open, transparent leadership, basically. And 100%, of course, qualification is important, and upskilling, and corporate culture. Corporate culture is becoming basically the only true distributed platform. Whether it's got to be empathic, whether it's got to be something else, will depend, of course, on the actual people behind it. So then, based on some of the recent studies, you see that they will evolve into like heads of continuity development, etc. So there's no longer just HR, or like the manager on joint human to AI work, things like that. So it's an evolution. So digital HR. What is digital HR for me? And by the way, ANCOR knows it, right? Everybody wants a digital HR manager. Everybody wants a digital HR professional. So when you ask, like, what is this? And some say that it's a human or a team or a function that can connect cloud, analytical, social, mobile technology and other components, channel it somehow, and establish it so that it impacts business performance. So, and I think what's really important here is two things. Finally, let me just say that you will only survive and flourish as an HR when you have a clear and measurable impact on your company. You need to have a measurable and clear impact on a forever evolving company. That HR professional is here to stay. All others are in the risk area of fading to black and becoming a white dwarf heading for a black hole, and it's basically physics then. So you need to evolve, you need to pivot. You know, all the traditional linear HR management and traditional old school HR stuff, I mean, you can forget about it. This is becoming a thing of the past because, you know, automation and other things, all the digital techniques and tools, I mean, they basically, they're destroying this house of cards. So, and that is my message. Basically, evolve, learn, pivot. So the future is diverse. The future can be bright, and it's murky. It will depend on the human. So you need to evolve. So in the past, HR had to prove something, like I need to prove, like, what is this HR thing? No, you don't need to prove that you're important. Everybody knows HR is important, but it's not about that. They say, the CEO says, yeah, I know, HR is important. I got you. It's a strategic factor. But the question is, who's my HR guy? How valuable is my HR guy? Yeah. So that's what's important. So HR will be very volatile, very vibrant, very alive, and very much rocket science. But I mean, again, rocket science is something that is different for to each their own, they say, right? Hopefully, of course, your rocket science will be true rocket science, not fake rocket science. Okay. And that's it. That's all from me. So evolve and succeed. Thank you, Yelena. And in the past, we would indeed focus on like research results, and that's it. And I think that it's not necessarily, I mean, we need to talk about the HR, the actual people on the forefront, right? The actual universal soldiers, so to say. And because of you, I think that filled that gap. And I'm sure that it's a good food for thought. If you are an HR professional, it's about your future and your future success or failure. So continued success. Thank you so much for being with us. And now it's time to give you the list of the most attractive employers on the market. Because we want the worst to find
Randstad и ANCOR объявляют имена самых привлекательных работодателей в исследуемых секторах экономики.
Employers on the market. So this time around, we had companies from 22 to 25 different industries.
Прежде чем мы назовем имена обладателей Randstad Award, давайте посмотрим.
Before we move into the award ceremony, so here's the list of industries. So in the chemical industry, we have Evrahim, Kazan Orgsistat, Nizhny Sibur, and Uralhim. And this award goes to Sibur. Top 5 most attractive construction brands: Glavstroy, Etalon, Crocus Group, Samolet Development, FSK Leader. And the most construction attractive brand is Glavstroy. In the logistics sector, the top 5 attractive brands include Feska, FM Logistics, Maersk, Major, and TNT Express. And the most attractive brand in this sector goes to Maersk. In healthcare, the top 5 most attractive employer brands goes to AstraZeneca, Bayer, Johnson & Johnson, Roche, and Vertex. And this award goes to AstraZeneca. In the hospitality industry, the top 5 list includes hotel networks: ANCOR, Live Lemesis, Hilton Worldwide, Intercontinental Hotel Group, Marriott International, and Radisson Hotel Group. And this award goes to ANCOR Live Limitless. In the retail trade segment, the top 5 most attractive brands include Adidas, Bosco, H&M, Jamilco, and Golden Apple. And the most attractive brand is Adidas. In the agriculture and farming, the top 5 attractive brands include Agrocomplex Takachova, Agrocompletas, Rusagras, Sibagra, and Evkar. And this nomination goes to Sibagra. In the telecommunication industry, the top 5 list includes Comcro, RTS, Rostelecom, Transtelecom, and Airtelecom. And the most attractive brand goes to RTS. In the financial services market, the top 5 brand list includes Alpha Bank, VTB, Gazprom Bank, Sberbank, and the Central Bank of Russia. And the most attractive brand is Gazprom Bank. In e-commerce, the top 5 brand list includes 220 volts, La Moda, Otto Group, Ozon, and Wildberries. And the most attractive brand is Ozon. In the insurance segment, the top 5 list includes Alfa Страхование, VSK, Ingolstrach, Riso Garantia, and Sagas. And the most attractive brand is Sagas. In retail trade, the list includes DNS, IKEA, Inventive Retail Group, Leroy Merlin, Aromatny Mir. The most attractive employer in retail goes to Inventive Retail Group. And from the bottom of my heart, my congratulations go to the best employer brands in Russia. So as Rebecca Henderson said that, look, this is something to be proud of, and just to confirm that you guys and your efforts to building that employer brand comes from people that really would like to be part of your story. And with that, we're about to wrap it up, but show must go on. Of course, stay tuned for more incredible news of HR market and further studies. The future is very bright. 341 companies participated in this report, and trust me, there'll be more incredible news, and this research will cover the whole Russia. So end of May, we're going to give you the results of a global study, as well as some of the key data on global economic sector. The most attractive employee that you see here in Russia will of course receive nominations and diplomas to confirm their status, including Gazprom, Mercedes-Benz, and others. Of course, we'll continue to invite experts, opinion leaders, and stay tuned for our future events. And we do it on a regular basis. As you know, we thank our partners. We thank DeLonghi. DeLonghi is about coffee. It's an Italian company that is a worldwide leader on the global coffee machines. Beautiful design, innovations, and incredible quality. The company has always been there to support the most incredible products and technologies. We also, of course, thank our media partner, hr Novosti. hr Novosti is a flagship media group in Russia. And this agency is the most quoted agency in Russian media market. Their correspondence network covers more than 100 different cities all around the world. So I don't know about you, but I think that these 2.5 hours have been almost like a second. Feels quick, and thank you to all the viewers watching us around the world. Thank you for being with us today, and until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Единственная кофемашина с технологией BeanAdapt. Создана для раскрытия вкуса кофейных зерен. Привнесет совершенство в каждый кофейный напиток. Открой для себя новую примадонна Soul.